Hey. Time for another Out of This World episode from rSpace. Joint custody arrangements can be exhausting, infuriating, and fraught with stress, especially if you have a contentious relationship with your ex-partner. As the song goes, breakup is hard to do, but you can make it easier on your kids. Today on rSpace, one man fights to provide the very best for his daughter. If you don't like it, sue me. Okay. Mother of my kid dares me to sue for parental rights, so I do, and get way more rights than before. So a bit of background. I was a dumb college kid and in a mixer, met the cousin of a classmate. We hit it off, started seeing each other, and when the red flags started going up, was looking for a way out. Except, we weren't as careful as we should have been, and she wound up getting pregnant. Was not super excited about the news, but I figured I had to take responsibility and at least try to make it work. Stuck with her throughout her pregnancy, was there when my kid was born, would wake up at ungodly hours to feed, change her, but still, the writing was on the wall. Things came to a head, and I finally told her I could not take it anymore. I'd happily take responsibility for my kid, but no way in hell was I spending any more of my time with her. She took it about as well as one could expect, and I didn't see my kid for a few months. All this while I was working 12 36-hour shifts. I just gave zero craps. Got a lawyer involved, got a child support agreement in writing, could see my kid on the one weekend off a month I got. That was that. Years go by. Kid grows. I change jobs, but we still adhere to the old agreement. Except that when mom gets mad or is in a bad mood, she won't bring my kid, or starts just spewing crap through messages. And at first I took it, but as the years went on, it started to get really old and hella annoying. So my kid is now 5, and COVID hits, and the mom starts saying how she's not going to bring my kid because of the risk, and I agree. Except, I eventually find out she's taking her out to parties and playdates and stuff. So it's not so much about her not exposing my kid, as it is me not seeing my kid. I confront her, argument ensues, and she says those magic words.
I'm not taking her, my kid, to see you, and if you don't like it, sue me.
Okay then. I get a lawyer who specializes in family matters. And even though in my country it is very difficult to gain custody from the mother, I have a pretty strong case. Mind you, at this point, I didn't want full custody, since her maternal grandparents obviously loved and cared very much for her, and she for them, and I had no intention of putting her through that, but it could be used as a leverage point. So we go ahead with the custody battle, and her mom just absolutely loses her crap, telling me how could I do this, why am I not thinking about our kid, to which I just reply with a screenshot of her telling me to sue her. So during the time that the custody battle goes on, my kid is remanded to my care, and her mother cannot take her or visit. And let me tell you all, those months were great. Our relationship definitely got stronger. Got to teach her the alphabet. Yes, she did not know it when I saw her. Got to show her my musical tastes, some heavy metal stuck, which is something she would have never been exposed to. It was great. The hearings were dragging on, and even though there were screenshots and photos of her being abusive and denying visitation, my lawyer told me it was not likely to go my way. But we got to leverage that for a better, ironclad agreement, and decided to not prolong it further. Apparently custody battles can go on for months or upwards of a year, so now instead of once a month, I see her every other weekend, plus school vacations, plus holidays. She lives in a different city 3 hours away, so seeing her more often was not feasible. Plus, guaranteed video calls. Plus, being informed of anything that goes on with her development, doctor, dentist, school. Now, my kid and I share stuff with each other that we did not do before, and she is much more excited to spend time with me. As for her mother, she is much more civil now, takes great care of what she does and says, and I doubt will dare me to do anything ever again. Edit. Thanks for the awards, guys. Just to give some more info. Her mother would be emotionally manipulative, along the lines of, she went 2 days without saying a word to me because of something, even though our apartment was tiny. Nothing along the lines of unfaithfulness or trying to pin a pregnancy on me, though it did cross my mind. I don't really care about blood relations, since I am very much my parents' son and cannot stand either of them, and am not on speaking terms with either of them, so blood ties don't mean that much to me, and that's also why I had no help from them in this situation. And as much as I would have loved to have more custody, my work schedule just did not allow it. I would literally fall asleep with her in my arms after being at work for 36 hours with 2 to 3 hours of sleep max. It was a rough time to be sure, but absolutely no regrets. And also, any music recs are welcome. Hope to foster a nice and diverse taste for music. Our first community reaction comes from iPenApp. This can be kind of wholesome too. Glad you are making the effort for your kid. Best of lucks, man. Being a parent is a long-term investment, and you look like you are doing a pretty good job. Cheers! DOP replies, oh, definitely seeing the silver lining. When before it was more of a chore to see me, and my kid couldn't wait to go back. Now it is something she actively looks forward to, which is because we had the time to bond. Earthy75 has something to add. A slightly similar situation when I went through a messy divorce. Through mediation, it was agreed to 50-50 split on my daughter. I'm a firm believer a child should have equal access to both parents. Anyways, just before my ex and I were about to sign the dotted line, she was moving out of the family home the coming weekend. My ex decided that as a father, I shouldn't be allowed 50-50. Instead, access should be every other weekend, and I should pay child support. She came up with this plan, having spoken to her half-wit sister, who did the same with her husband. He was happy to take the back seat. I'm a very hands-on and involved father. Always had been. This convo happened in the car and is something I will always remember. Convo went a little like this.
I've been thinking about the child arrangement, and I don't think 50-50 is fair.
Oh?
Yeah, I think it should be more like 70-30 split, or better still, 80-20.
Really? I'm surprised you would want that, but I'm sure it's for the best. X looked rather happy. Surprised, but happy. So, how do you want to have your 20%?
What? No, I wouldn't have her for 20%. You would. You've got this the wrong way around.
No, you have. I have agreed to 50-50 because that's how it should be. If you dare try to mess with me about it at this stage, then it will not end well for any of us.
She's my daughter, and mums have more rights.
Then I will do everything I can to get full custody. It will get nasty. You and I will never speak again, and I will use every penny I have, every penny my family has, to fight for full custody. I'll use your health, mental health, and ability to provide a clean and safe environment. Everything and anything I can do to get full custody. We will end up hating each other, and it is the child who will suffer as a result.
I just don't see why you should be allowed 50-50 when most men don't want it.
Ask yourself this. You are leaving the family home. Do I have to allow you to take my daughter?
She's my daughter.
She is also mine, but you have no legal right to take her. I can refuse, and then you will have to fight for access. After a pause.
Let's stick to 50-50.
In the 6 years since that day, we have kept to more or less 50-50. It tends to work out that my daughter spends more time with me, closer to 60-40, and it works well for her and I. Fight the good fight, brother. Steampunk Cupcake chimes in too. I hate parents that use their children as weapons. I understand the separations are difficult, but a child deserves to have a relationship with both parents, if both are willing and able. I'm not suggesting forcing a child into an unsafe situation with a parent who makes it clear they don't want them. Also, to be clear, I don't mean that as a jab that you should have sued for better parental rights because your ex was clearly abusing her power, just because she could and because she is selfish, with no consideration for how her actions were negatively impacting her child. I'm really glad you were able to have a closer relationship with your daughter now, and that you get to play a more active role in her life. Next comment from Evil Monkey Muldoon. I had a similar case. When we split, I got my daughter every other week. This was up until the first Mother's Day. She texts me and tells me I could come get her if I wanted. After I saw how disgusting my daughter's room had become, and later, after a text that her and her new boyfriend were going to go pick up drugs, I mean really, how stupid are you? I decided things had to change. So I hired a lawyer and had her served. She started in on how she was going to move to the other side of the country and I might get to see my daughter during the summer. She told me I'd be paying $600 a month in child support. She even sent me a video of her and the new boyfriend interrogating my 4-year-old daughter on how bad daddy was. Cue the court date. She comes in, no lawyer, gets her sons to testify on her behalf. Get one of them to tell this completely crazy story of how I came in his room and looked out the window at the tomato plants and jacked off. My lawyer got to question him and he couldn't keep the story together. Couldn't even say he was in the room or not. Judge ends up ordering a hair drug test for us both because she said I was doing drugs too. However, I was clean as a whistle and she was not. We now have joint custody with me as the primary. She gets to see her daughter 2 hours every week and still can't always show up for that. Case isn't finalized and has been floating along like this for a year. However, we are about to go back and I'm going to hit her with child support and reduce the visitation since she can't make it but 60% of the time. One more thought from Clark Kent 123223. You mentioned red flags in the beginning, red flags that could mean she potentially sabotaged your birth control or that you might not be the biological father? The OP has the last word. Red flags is in manipulating outbursts, stuff like that. It did cross my mind about me not being the father or her trying to tie me down. But this kid looks just like my sister, and it obviously didn't work if that was her intent. Even if tomorrow turns out she's not mine, she's still a great kid, and I love her to bits. Co-parenting after a separation or divorce is rarely easy. The key to successful co-parenting is to separate the personal relationship with your ex from the co-parenting relationship. It may be helpful to start thinking of a relationship with your ex as a completely new one that is entirely about the well-being of your children, and not about either of you. And that seemed to be an issue with your ex, OP. She was out to get you, and she got you where it hurt, through your co-parenting partnership. Your kids should recognize that they are more than important than the conflict that ended your relationship, and understand that your love for them will prevail despite changing circumstances. Unfortunately, the mother of the child is often favored in cases like this. You took the right steps when things started going south. Successful co-parenting means that your own emotions, any anger, resentment, or hurt, must take a back seat to the needs of your child. Admittedly, setting aside such strong feelings may be the hardest part of learning to work cooperatively with your ex, but it's also perhaps the most vital. You did what was in your rights as the father of your child. It's wonderful that you're able to keep the past in the past and move forward with a strong and healthy bond between father and daughter. I'm sure she appreciates and adores all that you do for her. What are your thoughts on co-parenting? Let us know some do's and don'ts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let us know what you thought on today's content in the comments below. Until next time.